Hello everyone, I'm Silent Death, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Science Harder Campaign. Between episodes, I've done a little bit of grunt work. One Tundra orbit satellite for 128k. I have no idea what that word means. Colnina orbit for 91k. Test Rockomac something another for 50k, another test for 13k, and I think there might have been one more that accidentally got deleted. But we're up to 589,000 and a little bit more. So we're going to use that to upgrade the space flight hangar. Bam! Eventually, there it goes. And we finally have... What the hell is going on there? Why are there waves through the... Okay, that's weird. Is that maybe shadows or something? Possibly. Anyway, what was I saying? We are going to be going to the moon today, as promised. There was something else I wanted to say, and it completely slipped my mind. Oh yes, I was all prepared to go to the moon with only 30 parts, but now that we have this, with our max parts of 255, we're going to redesign our moon lander to bring a little bit more science with us and back. Because, you know, 30 parts, you can't really lift very much to the moon and back unless you want to do kind of weird stuff or things like that. So let's pop in the VAB and see what we have. Alright. In an effort to be more explanatory, like was requested, I'm going to explain this design process for our moon lander. As I said, I want to bring two people with us, a scientist and a pilot. So, Jebediah and Bob are going to be going to the moon. And to do that, I've just inverted one capsule, stuck it on the top of the other one. And we've also added the very important Kerbal Engineer system part. And a thermometer just stuck right here, easy to reach from the capsule. Very important to have that easy to reach so you can just pop out, grab the science, and take it back inside the pod. It only takes one reading from the thermometer to get 100% of the science for a aerial. We're going to need some extra reaction stuff, since this is going to be a little bit large. So we have the Mark 1 SAS reaction wheel, and a few, 4 of these little solar panels strapped on it, because we're going to need power as well. We will be using this engine for our final stage, our final actually thrusting stage, and you'll notice that it does not have any kind of alternator, meaning it does not generate electricity like most other engines. Like this one, it generates electricity. So we have to rely on solar panels for that. Now then, we want our moon stage. This is basically to get us to the moon, to land on the moon, and to return us back to Kerbin. Will be all this one little stage here. I'm using the Mark 1 5 meter universal fuselage filled with liquid fuel and oxidizer. This is a little bit larger than the FLT 800, which is the upgrade to this one. This one has a total volume of 1060, and that would have a total volume of 800, so a little bit bigger. Would be basically 2 of these and 1 of these, roughly. A little bit more than that, even. Next, we'll want to decouple that. And we're going to have our boost stage to get us into orbit. So we're going to have another one of these, plus another 2-meter section, so we have 2 things there. Both full of lovely fuel. Actually, this one is not fuel of fuel. There we go. Good thing that I noticed that. That would have been bad. And we have the LVT-45 engine. We are using the LVT because it has gimbaling. solely because it has gimbaling. It does have less thrust than the, let's see, this one, the LV-T30, but this one has no gimbaling, and we're going to need the extra control because this is a big, giant, long aircraft, and Ferrum Aerospace is going to knock it all over the place when we try to maneuver. Also, since we have this inverted, we can just plop on one of this big, giant reel chutes, column chutes, both to help with the aerodynamics when notching and to help us get back down. Now then, we'll use kind of the standard way we have been getting up to orbit, but this time we're going to add 3 of our little jet engine modules. Make sure that we switch to this. Make sure that these are switched to that too, so that they are all in the right spot. And then, very important to make sure that these are straight on. Otherwise, you're going to have all kinds of weird stuff going on. So we'll plop those down, and to give us a little bit of control after we release those, and I guess while we're going up, we're going to add 3 winglets too. The AVR8 winglets, because they have the most, they turn the most. The whole wing turns instead of just part of it. And we have 3 intakes for each engine, which should allow us to get up pretty high. We only have 17 fuel in each, and even that is probably a bit more than we really need, but we should be good. That has quite a lot of thrust. Now then, we're going to start on this part a little bit more. So we'll do 4 of these. Put them right about there. So if you think about it, we're going to be passing through 3 different areas where we can get our science from. Science high above the moon, science in space near the moon, and science in wherever we land. So we're going to need 4 different kind of science capsule things, or well, 3 different. For each area, we need 2 of these material science bays and 2 goo canisters. The material science bays and goo canisters require you to take 2 readings to get all the science, or well, like 99% of the science of an area. So we'll just plop these on. Try to get them straight. There we go. Now then, we can use a Kerbal to remove the science from these once they have taken their reading. We'll put that like that. However, you cannot put the same type of science, or 2 of the same type of science, in a capsule. So if we had 2 material science readings from high above the moon, you cannot put both of them in the capsule. Normally that means you would have to either only take 1 or bring 1 of the material science things back with you to land. But since we have 2 capsules, we can store some of the science in here and the other half over there. So we will not be taking the material science stuff and goo canisters with us back to Kerbal. Also, we don't need to be taking the material science bays from the space high above the moon and space near the moon with us to land. So what we're going to do is put that there, put another one, actually, there we go, okay, that one is facing the wrong way too. There we go. I don't like the way that's upside down. There we go, that's even better. All facing right. Now then, we can take the science high up at the moon, the science near the moon, and then grab it with our Kerbal's EVA, dump it in the pods, and eject these 2. which means that these are going to land with us. So we're going to put some landing gear on them to help with that. Going to be a little bit difficult. Okay, it's going to be a lot difficult to get this place right. You have to use a little bit of a trick. If we try to press F to switch to symmetry around the part, and then do that, it still just goes to all of them. So it's not really doing what it wants to, or what I'm telling it to do. So what we have to do is go root, select that, select this part, then we can do that, and do the same thing with the other side. Try to get them lined up so that the gear little plate there is right below that black line. And you can hold shift to move it in smaller increments. That's probably close enough. So now we have some landing gear. Since we're using Ferrum Aerospace, we're going to need to be a little bit more aerodynamic. So we'll take these procedural nose cones and plop them on one at a time. Otherwise, it will try to put them underneath here, which is really weird, but it does that. And let's change our root part back to what we want it to be before we forget. Now then, if we look here on stage 3, which is this engine here, actually things are not properly set up yet, are they? So I'll have to figure out that staging. That is that engine, and that is the right decoupler. Those two can go together. They're going to be somewhere down here probably. These are those. And where is the main engine? So that must be up here. That'll go down there. Now then, we want these two to eject first. So that one. And that one. And then the other two we're going to be leaving behind on the surface of the moon. So we'll just kind of start lifting off and then eject those and then take off for the moon. And finally, we're not going to want the parachute to go at the same time as the last decoupler. Now then, our thrust to weight is below 1. We're in Kerbal, sphere of influence, and we don't have atmospheric set, so that's going to change our numbers a little bit. That is something we need to probably talk about later. But if you look, ISP in the vacuum is 370, and atmospheric is down to 320. We'll come back to that probably during the flight, but that's just something you need to note right now. Also note that this area is not being calculated properly because we show all stages. It's counting all the fuel being burned up while all of these are attached, which is not the case, or not how things are going to be. We'll come back and check that more accurately here in a moment as well. First, we're going to need a little bit more thrust here. So what we're going to do is add 4 of these. Not like that, but properly. And then we will save this. And let's go buy some solid rocket boosters. We'll just pick up this for 15 cents. And it's free. Purchase that for 0 buckaroos. And we can't get those. So back to the vehicle assembly building. And let's see if this will satisfy our needs. Okay, so that'll give us a ridiculous amount of thrust to weight. It's actually in the right stage for a change. We don't need that much thrust to weight, but does it give us enough total delta V? It gives us 1,000. First thing we want to do is scale the thrust down quite a bit. Starting there and going up to 1.73 sounds like a good idea. That means we won't actually start falling, but we should still have control and all that. We actually might want to boost that up to 1.2. I know from launching all those satellites that we need about 2,500 delta V more after these eject to get into a circularized orbit. And this will put us right at 2669. So that should be enough to get us into orbit and still have quite a large safety margin. Now then, to do the whole moon thing, it takes, according to the wiki, 860 delta V to intercept the moon from a low carbon orbit, another 310 to circularize your orbit, and then another 580 delta V to land on the moon. That is a perfect zero waste landing, so an ideal landing, which I've never actually done and probably will not ever do. So we're going to budget a little bit more delta V than that for the landing. That works out to about 1800 delta V. And we have 2400 for this stage. But as we said before, it's not calculating correctly. So we can't make that calculate correctly. It's going to take 1200 delta V to get us into low moon orbit. That will mean when we disconnect these two. So let's take 1200 delta V off of this. And that was at 24. So we need to go down to 12. Approximately. That works. So if we have that much delta V left, and then we move the engine up to there, how much delta V does it say we have? It says we have a 1700. So let's take another, we'll go with 700 delta V to land. That'll give us a nice round calculation. Okay. That's about right. A little bit more. Okay. Now then, when we take off, we're going to have 1300 delta V. That should be enough to allow us to get back. We'll have the 900 we need to push out. And I believe it takes less than the 800 to get back. I'm fairly certain that's the case. I mean, we can always get out and push if it really comes to it, but I don't think we're going to need to. We're going to gamble that we're not going to need to either way. So let's fix our staging again. Make sure we have fuel. Make sure everything else is set properly. And then we'll go to the space plane hangar. Here we are in the space plane hangar. I noticed right after I stopped recording there for a moment that we needed a little bit more thrust to weight on the first stage, so I added one more of the jet engine assemblies to get us up to 1.53. We're at 1.12, I think, something like that. which is not good since the thrust really drops off on those as you get higher. Now that we're in the spaceplane hangar, the newly upgraded spaceplane hangar, we have access to action groups. Wow, I cannot speak today. Okay, I don't even know what just happened, but apparently we have all kinds of stuff. Right, so here are the basic action groups. We're using the action group extender thing, which does all this. We can click on lights, since we don't have any, and we're going to put the thermometer here. I want to log temperature. Since I don't really use, or I kind of have a lot of a problem, you know, clicking on the thermometer and, you know, getting all that stuff, I like to have that action grouped. We could action group all these others, but I'm not going to, because I am in fact lazy. Or, well, I guess what we could do is we could action group these guys, the ones that are going to be in space above to the gear. So that one, observe the material, observe the material bay, observe the mystery goo, observe the mystery goo, observe all that mystery goo, and these, observe the materials bay. So that'll be something we can do fairly easily. The other ones we'll have to do it by hand. That worked for me. Let's go ahead and just save this, and then it is time to launch. And I've just realized something. It might be a good idea to actually pick up the contract for the moon before we go there properly. Yeah, maybe. Explore the moon! I will take that. You almost got me, but I remembered. A couple of equator orbits, I'm going to pick those up just because I can do them soon. And money is always a good thing. Temperature scans of Minimus, anything else on the moon? Does not appear to be. So let's go back to our vessel. Fly, hopefully we don't recover that, because then that will undo the contracts and weird things will happen. That is, if we revert. Okay, let's hide everything. Well, I guess we can just turn off that window. You'll notice that we don't have any ablative shield here or monopropellant. Don't have any monopropellant in this one either. We do have some ablative shield. We don't need the ablative shield here because it's not going to be going down that direction. So that saves us a little bit of mass. Gives us about 100 more delta V, I think, when it worked out. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off slowly. There we go. Barely lifting off. We're going to align ourselves like we normally are, as if we were launching from the launch pad, just for convenience and to make us feel better about ourselves. Oh yes, something else that I wanted to talk about, which I guess we can do while this is struggling for halt. I have changed the science multiplier for this campaign down from 0.4 to 0.2, from 40% to 20%. Based on my calculations, there's approximately 100,000 science in the whole Kerbal system. The current mod-oriented tech tree with the mods that I have currently installed takes about 21,000 science to research everything. So with things set up like we are, and then counting the bonus from scientists and the bonus from contracts, we should have enough to unlock everything if we visit all the places. We will of course need to have a little bit more scientists if we start adding more mods that have higher intakes. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but if we do, we'll just have to bring more scientists with us. For Kerbal itself, we're going to keep a 40% science modifier when we're doing science on the surface of Kerbal. We've already done everything in space right now, everything that we can do. And I'm not sure if there's anything else that we unlock that we can do in space. But when we start doing planes and stuff where you fly around Kerbal, we'll switch it back to 40%. And then just keep 20% for everything off of Kerbal. Now that that's said, we will fast forward through the rest of this flight. We are passing through the cloud layer now. I changed the clouds using the Astronauts Visual Interstellar version 2 pack for the cloud configuration instead of the other one that I was using, the Enhanced Visual something. So back to fast forwarding. Alright, we've got an orbit. Just used up that, so we're right on target for our Delta V so far. Time to separate the stage. And a look for a lunar intercept. So we'll set the moon as our target. It says that we're off a little bit. Yeah. A degree shouldn't really matter too much, hopefully. Now, if we didn't have the targeting thing, or we didn't have the tracking center upgraded, we could just do it the old-fashioned way and burn as the moon comes out of over the horizon. Burn at moonrise. But we have tracking things, so we're going to use maneuver nodes. Burn to our periapsis is about 10,700,000, I believe that is. Okay. That's a little bit more than we need. This will give us a really good periapsis if we can do things just right. Going to come in at a tiny bit of an angle, but again, that should not matter. And if we do this perfectly, we can make it take us a couple less Delta V. Let me fiddle with this for a moment. Alright, we got to take about 10 less Delta V doing it that way. 822 instead of the 830 that we were using for our calculations. Periapsis is at, or based on the node, it's at 1441. That's actually just burning a little bit early than we need to, but since we're probably not going to get the node exact, gives a little bit of margin for error, because I tend to slow down at the end. That way it'll kind of average out. So we're aligned on the node. We have the node in 4 minutes, and it's a 5 minute to burn. So we'll be fast forwarding through that. We are having to make a little bit of a correction burn part of the way through because I think just the Kerbal reinforcements physics thing. Easing the physics is adjusting our node a little bit. So a little bit more delta V than I would really like to burn at this point. But we have to do what we have to do. So we'll just kind of approach this. We're burning prograde to get our periapsis down to 67K. Basically, we're going to be burning prograde until that starts changing to positive, or we get low enough. Or we stop intercepting it. That would also be a thing. So let's go retrograde and change that. Alright, that'll have to do. And now we can warp to the sphere of influence. Hopefully we actually get captured. Apparently we have a moon encounter there. It's not where we really want it. Hopefully that did not mess things up. I really hope that's the case. We can burn a retrograde a little bit if we need to. Well, I guess we'll find out here in a moment. I might have to see if I can turn off that physics acceleration, or physics easing thing for flights. Because it seems to be causing us problems right now. There's the moon, so we're close. Going to get there eventually. We should be intercepting it. Do that? Okay. So we are intercepting it now. Hopefully there. Okay, excellent. So we'll add a maneuver node there. We're at 90K. Snap it to the periapsis. And we should have 310 according to the guide, which we're a little bit low. So we saved a little bit of delta V somewhere. That's roughly circular. Well, not quite. That's close to circular. Now then, we can get the first little bit of our science. So we'll turn on the lights to get... Okay, yeah, we have to do that for near. I forgot about that. So the material science bay, the material science bay, the mystery goo, and the mystery goo. The goo seems to enjoy itself. The high radiation environment causes a few of the samples to glow. It looks like it would be fun to paint the rocket with this. Says that twice, and the goo's still enjoying itself. Now then, Bob, since he is the science guy, is going to take a crew report, which I think you're in this one, right? Need to click on the hatch. If I can find the hatch. There's the hatch. Yeah, Bob, I want you to take a crew report. You are very proud of yourself for reaching this far. I am, in fact, very proud of myself. How did it know? I guess they're just, you know, they're little green men who know what you're thinking. Do an EVA report. It looks like a really big rock. Well, that's anticlimactic. And we will take this data so that we can get more crew reports later. We're not going to be transmitting any crew reports because I do not think we'll get the science bonus from our scientist if we transmit the data. Turn on RCS, turn on his lights. Oop, wrong way. Over here. And he can come over here and grab some science. Collect. Whoops, crap. Okay, that was dumb. I clicked the wrong button there. So we'll have to go back to the vessel and grab that. But we'll collect this data. Then we'll switch back to the vessel. Observe the mystery goo some more. Still enjoying itself. Man, that goo, just a party animal. Collect that data. Then we'll get the very hard to click on thingamadupers. There is a mod that changes that, but I don't have it installed. Makes it easier to click on. Because really, this is kind of ridiculous. We have to stick our face inside the Science Junior before we can see what's happening. Come on. Collect it. There we go. So that should be all that, right? You have 5 pieces of data. So you'll put some in your pod. Store the experiments. And then you'll put some in this guy's pod. In Jebediah's pod. So he gets the 2 duplicate experiments and you get everything else. Grab. Nope, don't fly off. Fine, fly off. Ships this way. It's a good thing you have so much EVA propellant with the way you wobble around. Okay, look, dude. If you can't grab the little ladder like that, we may have to have Jebediah start doing things. Yeah, I thought that would get you in. Alright, so that's one set of science done. Now then we can warp to our periapsis. Or to our maneuver node, either one of those. 46-second burn. We'll go ahead and line up the thing. Little bit right about there. Why is it? It must have another alarm. I don't know what it's thinking it's doing, but fast forward, please. Here we go. Okay. That must be our escape. Yep, okay, yep. Close the alarm. I don't want to see that. So in 23 seconds. Burn, yeah, burn! Retrograde. Hold retrograde. Look at our orbit. It's so awesome. We're no longer, or we're still leaving. Still leaving. There we go. They're very excited. They just chattering all over the place. We could go straight for a landing because this is kind of where we want to land. I think we might actually do that. Let's save the game first, in case I screw up the landing, because you just know that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it's a rule somewhere. $50,000. 30,000. Get it down to about 10 kilometers, I think. Eight kilometers should still be close enough. And then we will delete the node. Now then, we're going to... how much will it take for us to slow all the way down? Get a kind of an estimate for our delta V calculations. About a minute and a half. And are we classified as near the thing? Actually, we do not want to go that far down, do we? Are we considered close to the moon yet? Nope, we are still high over the moon. So we need to adjust our apoapsis down a little bit too. So let's just warp to our periapsis then. And we are still holding retrograde. really low. Well, that is really close. Of the far side crater right now. We have power good, just making sure on that. Switching over. And then we'll do a gentle little burn to lower this down. I think it's probably around, we'll go 40k. That should really count as near. I'm sure that there's one of these things that'll tell me what it is. And now then we can grab a whole bunch of science just from EVA reports and crew reports while we orbit this. So like the thermometer reading, we can grab that. We can grab the other mystery goo stuff. Observe the materials bay, observe the materials bay, observe the goo canister, observe this goo canister. The goo melts into a welcoming ball. Oh, that's just so cute. The high radiation, oh, we've already read that one. Now then, Bob, you're going to get another chance here. So you just hop outside. Take data. Store experiments. EVA report. I wonder if it tastes like cheese. Nah, minimus though. Don't go flying off. Now, which one was it? I think it was the one on this side, wasn't it? Gently into the night. And collect that science. Don't knock the craft all over the place, please. Collect that science. Collect that science. And collect that science. Way to go. Are we still over the crater now? Probably not. We are going pretty quickly. Let's store some experiments. Darn it. It's kind of hard to get lined up. And then see if we can get another EVA report. Yep, now we're over the highlands. Keep that data. So we need to get into the craft pretty quickly. We still haven't gotten the thermostat reading, which is over here. Could have Jebediah do that. I can't actually see anything now. Let's turn on the lights. That would be a good idea. Take the data. Okay, need to get a little bit closer apparently. Store experiments. And then hop in your little pod. Board. Now then. Another light thing. Oh, so that one's not biome specific. I thought it was. Okay. Crew report. I think we need another one of those. No, that's just space near the moon. So that is not biome specific either. So it's just the EVA reports that are biome specific. So every time this changes to a new biome, Bob's going to hop out and grab some science. But we can eject this useless stuff now. Goodbye, used up science. And I'm going to get as much science as I can while I do a few orbits, and then I will be right back. Alright, we've gotten some reports from just around. Literally around. So now we are going to be trying to land in this crater over here. We have a little burn coming up. Speed things up a little bit more. Okay, it just wants to do that. Fine. A little bit more. We don't really have to be too exact since we're just kind of going in. The most efficient way to burn is to go in as sideways as possible. That way you don't fall as much and gain all the speed from gravity. At least I believe that's how it works. However, it's really difficult to do that in practice because it's kind of hard to estimate when you need to burn, even with all this kind of stuff. So we will close that. We're going to tell him to hold right about here on the 270 mark, right at the horizon. We'll go ahead and extend the landing gear just to make sure we don't forget, because that happens occasionally. And we'll come in, we'll wait till altitude gets quite a bit lower, and then we'll come in for a landing by slowing down all of our delta V, our horizontal delta V, which, does this show us when we impact? That might be under surface. Impact time, 1 minute and 40 something seconds. And that is what I wanted to know. Since we know it takes us about a minute and a half. So where's that impact time? So minute and 30 seconds, and now we will start burning. And apparently somebody decided to try to connect to a dial-up network on the moon. I don't know what that is, but I'm turning it off if I can. Close that. Trying to get our horizontal speed down to 0. That is what we're trying to do. We're a little bit off. Switch to fine controls. We are at fine controls. We're still just burning that fast. Okay, now then we need to start doing this a little bit more. We'll just switch to retrograde full on, because we're dropping pretty quickly. Still dropping. Our horizontal speed is almost zeroed out. We're only 500 meters above the surface. Not a perfect burn, but still pretty good. So a suicide burn now is at 100 meters. Just kind of let us fall a little bit. We're on a slope. Make sure we switch to this before we hit the ground. A little bit more. Ooh, that is a really big slope. Crap. Slope is a little bit steep. Ah, that's not good. Crap. This is going to cause problems. Darn it, let's try that again. Stupid slope. I hate you. This time we're coming at a 9.3 degree slope, which I think is going to be fine. There's our shadow. Slow us down to touch down very, very lightly. That way we don't bounce so much. Like that. Come on, don't do it. Don't do it. Darn you. Alright, maybe we can get it tilted back over if we... Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Come on, come on, SAS, you can do it. Come on. Hold there. Then turn off the SAS. Excellent. We have now officially made it to the moon. So I guess Jebediah is going to be the person that goes outside and gets all the stuff. But let's get all of our science. Material science. Bay, the goo, that, and the other goo. The goo sits there contently. You're not sure how an inanimate goo can be content, but that really is the only way to describe it. The fine dust of the moon has intermixed with some of the samples. You have a sneaking suspicion that they'll never be able to get the lab clean again, especially since we're going to be leaving it behind. The goo seems to be less dense here. As you look away, one of the samples makes a run for it. Now then, Bob, as a consolation prize, you can take a crew report. Boy, the lighting up here sure looks weird, almost as if you were on the sound stage or something. That's pretty funny. Obviously, a poke at the people who are saying that the moon landing was all staged and stuff, the conspiracy theorist. Jebediah, an EVA report from space just above the far side crater. We probably already have that, but we will store the experiments. Did I remember to take that? No, I did not. So we will log the temperature. The thermometer can't seem to make up its mind whether it is hot or cold up here. You can take that data. You can release and jet. Ooh. Whee! Come on. Bam. We aren't going to plant a flag yet because there's going to be a contract for it in a moment. We are going to grab our science though. In fact, I will grab that and I will meet you back at the Space Center while we leave Jeb and Bob here to chill for a little bit. Popping over to the building, whatever building this is called, Mission Control. We have plant a flag on the moon now, so we'll go ahead and pick that up. Actually, we can't pick that up because we have things. I forgot to do that. Darn. Can I do anything to fix that without taking a penalty? I don't think I can. I think we're just going to have to eat the penalty. It's either that or launch something else and then come back. I suppose I could launch one of these satellite missions. Maybe? Do I have anyone that's available? What day is it? 54 or 55, so we have a launch window. And let's see, oops. We'll just click here and see if anyone or our pilots are free. So, Gene-Guard is down. Limrod is down. Dudrick is down. And Nilstead is down. So all of our pilots are busy. We don't have anyone that can launch anything. I guess we're going to have to abandon a mission. That sucks. But we have to do what we have to do. The flag is worth quite a bit more than anything we have. Ooh, we could do that one without actually technically launching anything, though we would lose the decoupler. I guess that's what we're going to have to do. Yeah, we're going to use up that mission. Ah well, it was good while it lasted. And then we'll pick up the moon one, and I will meet you back at the moon. Okay, we have got that little contract, so let's pop Jeb out again. Whee! Such a nice view. And then a soft touchdown. Too bad we can't get surface samples. That would be a good thing to have. So, plant your flag. There we go. Now then, this will be the first moon landing. One giant leap for Kerbal kind. Just a hop for Jeb. So why don't you smile for the camera, Jeb? If I can get in the face the right way. There we go. There we go. That's a good shot. Woo, he's so happy. Alright, so now then it is time to get ready to take off. Oh, how much did that give us? Will you go away, please? Pretty please? Okay, look, guy. Why don't you ever go away? Okay, I guess I can just click on one of them. So we explored the moon. We got 9,000 for that. I'm not going to... Well, we could go ahead and delete that. Land on the moon, 13,000. Then the decoupler one. And finally, 42k for planting a flag on the moon. Let's get back in our ship. There was another contract I wanted to pick up before we take off. So I'll do that and be right back. Waddle, little guy, waddle. Now then, it is time to see if all of our estimations were accurate and if we can make it back to Kerbin. The best way to get from the moon to Kerbin is to burn so that you exit the moon's sphere of influence. Reverse in the reverse direction of the moon's orbit, so you go this way while the moon is going this way. Because of the way Kerbal Space Program does gravity, you only are affected by the gravity of the object you're in the sphere of influence of. So while we're orbiting the moon and in its sphere of influence, the gravity of Kerbal is not, or Kerbin, is not having any effect on us. So that means we should be able to get more oomph for our delta V in terms of adjusting our orbit around Kerbin if we do all the burning while we're still in Moon's sphere influence. And that hopefully means that we have enough delta V to get all the way back. It means it should only take us hopefully 1,000-ish delta V instead of the 1,600 delta V. Or 1,800. It was. So let's turn on SAS. Let's start taking off. Let's get rid of the science. Don't need you anymore. Goodbye. Start just going over as quickly as possible, right along the 90-degree mark. And you get our periapsis and apoapsis set up. Turn mount fine controls. Make sure we aren't going to crash into anything. A little bit faster, please. Staying nice and low. Maybe a little bit too low, we'll find out. That is almost up there. Flying over the far side crater, I think that's... Oh yeah, we're going to run into a mountain if we keep on this, I think. Went a little bit higher than I was wanting there. Hopefully we don't run into the mountain there. Now then, we're going to quickly, very, very quickly, see if we can't set up a node here. So that we don't have to circularize our orbit. That gives us there. So if we make this so that it's about there, then we boost it a little bit. Give me More oomph. That'll put our periapsis down. Adjust the timing. Perhaps it's at 170. That may have been bad. Okay, that's a little bit much. Carbon periapsis is -8. 1700. 13. 75. 57. 40. 40 might be good. I think we'll go... Ooh, that's a little bit more. I think I'm going to shoot for 35-ish. And you can see, only 256 delta V to get that burn. Which is coming up in just 5 measly minutes. Assuming we don't crash into the mountain here. We are really close. Oh god. Jeb, you know, kind of sucking your gut there a little bit. Have we even left the crater? Hopefully we have. Okay, yeah, we're on the edge of the crater. Actually, if we turn, we may actually hit the ground if we align with the node. We are that close. We're starting to climb, though, so yeah, it should be fine. Well, we are already on fine control. Maybe I should turn off one of the reaction wheels. We're going to turn off this reaction wheel. Toggle torque. There we go. That way we have a little bit finer control. Since we don't have that big giant vessel to carry around with us. Now then, our burn is in 4 minutes. Does Kerbal alarm clock know about it? It does, so we can just warp a little bit. There's the planet. Hello, Kerbin. Close the alarm. And this is definitely a burn that you want to be paying attention to. If you do not want to leave, let's see if the trajectories thing is set up. We are going to hold retrograde. It still doesn't think we're slowing down that much. That doesn't sound right. We'll find out. I'm guessing it's not calculating properly. We waited too long to burn. Way too long to burn. Okay, we'll click on that to make sure that it shows up. 100, 39, 30. That's a little bit steeper than I would like. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this down to like 10% thrust limiter. Give us a very, very fine control. And see if we can't tweak that. To this a little bit. Get rid of that. Okay, click this again. Please. $35,000. And we still have a 259 delta V. I think this is going to be survivable. So let's save, and then we'll fast forward until we get into Kerbin. as Bob and Jebediah land and come back from the historic trip to the moon. Have you already got a crew report? Nope. Okay. Let's recover this and see what we get. Alright, we got 130.4 science, bringing us up to 191 science. That is fantastic. 26 experiments recovered. All that science is just so lovely. Just wonderful and yummy and yum yum yum. And not much funds recovered. We did want our land fairly far away. Only 26.9%, and we didn't land that much. 5 experience gained for both Jebediah and Bob Kerman, though nobody gained any levels. And for money, transmit or recover science from the moon, from space around the moon, from the surface of the moon, and explore the moon for 81k. Brings us all the way up to 373k. Between episodes, I will be doing even more science. Not science, but contract missions to get some money. First off, we're going to spend some science though. Buying unmanned technology. We really need this. It'll allow us to start launching better, cheaper satellites. And not only that, it'll allow us to slap a drone onto something with a scientist or engineer in it and still fly it with SAS and all that kind of stuff. So definitely want to pick this up. That leads to advanced unmanned tech and basic scanning. We're going to want scanning. That unlocks some new contracts, so we're going to want that sometime in the near future. But that is it for this episode. Like if you like. Subscribe if you're not. Leave a comment if you have anything to say. I do read all the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.